Obviously the free throw was a big miss. And maybe I'm just an idiot. Or maybe I've just been fooled because Luka has so many phenomenal highlights shooting the ball. But he hasn't been a great free throw shooter. I mean, he's never shot above 80% from the free throw line for his career. And then in the playoffs, he's improved year after year. This might be one of his better seasons at playoffs, actually, shooting 77.3% from the free throw line. But before then, 2019, 2020, 65.6, 2020, 2021, 52.9, 77 in 21, 22, and 23, 24, 77.3. For such a clutch guy, and for someone that's just been known to hit such massive jumpers, it's kind of crazy to see that he's just not a great free throw shooter, right? Obviously he's not a 50, 40, 90 guy, but he's not even close. He's not even close. And maybe that's just me getting fooled by all of these plays and highlights, but he just don't shoot the free throw very well. And I've been saying this about OKC, and I said this when they got smacked around the last game in game 3. They always managed to keep the game close. And it really comes down to their style. And it really comes down to Shea. Shea is phenomenal, but his mentality of not settling for threes, and maybe it's a coach's thing too, but it's contagious. Yes, Jalen Williams double dribbled on that play, but he didn't give up and he didn't settle. He didn't pass the ball back out. He looked for an opening and he attacked the basket. This was consistent throughout. And I also, Luka's obviously a little bit hobbled, but I have to give some credit to Luka Doncic because he's playing the defense that I think Russell Westbrook wanted to play. He is not giving Luka any room. He is all over Luka. He is extremely physical with Luka. He is closer in size to Luka than Westbrook was. Westbrook was giving up a lot more size than Dort is. But what we've seen this entire series and this entire playoffs, but it's been really bad this series, is every single time Luka gets a shot up or thinks about putting a shot up, as soon as he releases the ball, he immediately turns around and starts yelling at the referee. I'm not going to lie to you. It's tough to watch. He's a great player. He's unbelievable, the things that he could do on the basketball court. But the fact that every single time he puts a shot up, he's going to turn around and complain to the ref. And not just complain to them, he'll yell at them all the way down. He'll yell at them running down the court. And he'll do it possession to possession to possession to possession. It's got to be irritating. And the fact that they swallowed their whistle, everyone complains about the referees, but the fact that they swallowed the whistle for this dude is actually, it's mind-boggling. I wouldn't be surprised if they want to throw him out just to send a message. Because a lot of the time, you initiate the contact, bro. And I love that stuff, but you can't initiate the contact so much and then also be the one to complain. It don't work like that. And the calls that he was getting in the regular season, he's not getting now, and he's getting really, really frustrated, and you could tell. You can tell. And I'm not saying it's directly affecting his game, because Dort has just been playing great defense as it is. He's literally just white on rice on him. He ain't leaving him. But to see him every single possession turn around and run down yelling at the ref is mind-boggling. And he needs to get his head in the game. He needs to stop worrying about the referees, and he needs to just play his game. Because the reality is this: you're not getting the calls, bro. You're not getting the calls. It don't matter how much you yell at. You've been yelling at them all series, and you're still not getting the calls. So clearly, they're not going to make the call. Just play the fucking game. Kyrie hasn't had a great game yet. And if I'm the Mavericks, that would be my message to the team. We should have won that game. They stole it, right? We should be up 3-1, but we're not. However, Luka shot terribly, and Kyrie is yet to have a great game. If we get one of those games where these guys are getting you 60 to 70 points, and then you have a PJ Washington to sprinkle in some points, Tim Hardaway sprinkle in some points, their chances of winning go up, because now the game shifts. And I will say this about OKC. I really commend the fact that they stick to their guns. The whole game, they're pretty much letting Dort play Luka one-on-one, and they just play their boxes and elbows on defense. Kyrie, however, they were doubling him every single time down the floor. And if you're going to beat us with PJ Washington becoming Michael Jordan, we can shake your hand and say great series. I think that's the mindset that they have right now. They're not going to let Luka is going to take tough shots, but they're not going to let Luka get hot and get a bunch of assists and also let Kyrie be efficient, have one of those 12 of 19 games, right? 11 of 17, and just goes off for 30 points, like a quick 28, 30 points, super efficient. Because the whole time I was wondering, I was like, they're still double teaming this dude. He got like 9 points. And they kept at it because I think they understood that eventually, if your best players aren't shooting the shots down the stretch, those guys are probably going to miss. They're not built for that moment. They're not like Kyrie and Luka, who have made these shots in their careers. And I really just commend OKC for sticking to their guns, sticking to their mid-range, sticking to their defensive plan, and literally just riding the wave out. And eventually, the tipping point happened, the game turned, and all of a sudden, Dallas was scrambling. Meanwhile, OKC had been playing this steady basketball the entire game. They didn't have to do anything differently down the stretch. Dort was getting those same shots. He was just missing a couple of them. Now he hits a couple of them. Shea continues to hit some shots. Now the game shifts. It's as if they're a lot more fearful of Kyrie getting off than Luka. Which is crazy to think, right? Which is crazy for some people to think. It just goes to show you how great Kyrie Irving is. And he's shown an ability to facilitate the last 2 games. I think he's going to need to come out and be more aggressive. He needs to be the one that frees up Luka Doncic a little bit, right? He needs to be the one that free up some shots for Tim Hardaway. Because Luka is just taking the same shots. Part of me feels like he's also just missing a bunch of them. There's a bunch of little step backs and fadeaways that he would typically hit that he was literally just missing. You know, it happens. You make some, you miss some. He was hot the last game. He was just cold this game. It comes and goes, right? It's a part of it. But for such a young team in OKC to just stay the course, stick to their game plan, and for Shea to hit every big shot that he needed to down the stretch to keep them in the game, and now you sprinkle some threes from Dort and Holmgren. After you've kept your team in this game, they're like, all right, we could help you get over the top. That's what a team is, and that's what I was talking about. Barkley was saying they play a lot of one-on-one basketball last night. I don't know what the fuck he was watching. Guys are, one, just missing shots, but two, they're staying aggressive and they're attacking the paint. It's a lot of drive and kick and not settling for threes. It's another drive. And OKC stole that game, which is a really, really massive game going back home. I got OKC in the Western Conference Finals. I think they're going to make it to the Western Conference Finals. And games like that builds character for a team, and it can also demoralize the other team. Luka and Kyrie are stars, so I think they'll only be affected by this loss only but so much. I would look for those two to come out aggressive. The question is, will a PJ Washington still come out and have a game that have a good shooting like he's been having? He's due for a bad game. Will Tim Hardaway get going? Will these other guys get going?